Hi, this is Sandy. I'm taking a DIP course, Desteni I Process Course, and on lesson 6. But before I leave lesson 5, I wanted to talk about. We were focusing on mind constructs, and specific. We were focusing on fear, different fears, and I was looking at the fear of family, the fear of my father. I fear my father. Looking at that one thought as a construct in my mind and looking at it in detail. And there was just something in the reading that I wanted to bring up. There are required readings, they're fascinating, in which talking about suppression. I have felt very suppressed in my life. I feel like I've broken out of this somewhat, a little bit. And I'm more and more conscious of it and aware of it. I believe I was suppressed almost to the point of an earlier death, which is probably very common in this world. And I used alcohol to suppress myself further and possibly kill myself. I don't think I said that consciously to myself as I was drinking, but I think many times it was okay with me if it happened. And I was thinking, I don't remember, it was talking about, with fear of family, looking at exact points where your freedom of expression was interrupted. And even the first point, which is fascinating, when was the first point where, when you were a kid, you were doing something and your parents came in and said, oh, hurry up, we gotta go do this. Interrupted a free play time you were having, and you were expressing and exploring and enjoying yourself thoroughly. And yes, this was also under the subject reading about haste. And I don't remember that. I remember certain times where I felt more and more suppressed, kind of like a hammer, a hammer down on my head. And it started first with my dad, and I'm sure my mom as well. But to me, it seemed more with my father. I don't know that that's there. And then following with boyfriends, husbands, that kind of thing. So I don't quite remember the first time I was interrupted, but I do remember the very first time that I felt there's been a change, and I was very young. I'd say I was only, I'm going to guess 6, 7, maybe 5, in which I couldn't sing anymore and perform freely anymore. This girlfriend I had, her and I used to have a lot of fun singing it and putting on little plays for our parents, and my kids did that for me as well. And I felt very happy and free when I did this. And I remember the first time when she wanted to do this, and I couldn't do this. And what I felt was extreme, almost like when my mother had depression and she described it as a black blanket being put over her. The shame. It was shame I felt. It was embarrassment of times a million. It was dark shame. I couldn't sing anymore. I couldn't play joyfully, freely anymore. Maybe by myself I could, but I have to hide. It was very sad, and I felt sad. And my little girlfriend was so shocked, I remember, and she's like, why? And I couldn't put it in words. I didn't really know why. I just couldn't do it. And it was shame. And I never did it again, wasn't until kind of singing in the choir a little. Not that I'm a good singer, but it's joyful to me to sing and play music. It's fun, and I couldn't do it. I forced myself to do it when I was in my 30s. which was good for me. I had to. I was so lost. So that was okay. And but I remember that. Say I was 6, I'm not sure. Turning to my girlfriend, her kind of going, "Okay, let's do this play for our parents." And me, and she starts singing, and she looked at me. Why? And I didn't know the answer. I couldn't. And sadly, so am I free now to say, but I didn't do that to my kids. I'm going to hope I did it less. I didn't have a heavy hand with my children, but it probably still happened. It's passed on, right? So that's something that I noticed. Later, my dad would say things when he was drinking. I experienced alcoholism as well, so this is not an excuse. There's no excuse for my dad to say cruel things to his children. None. However, I do understand the possession that takes over. These things that come out of your mouth that later, even sometimes while it's happening, you feel horrible, but you can't stop them. Anyway, I remember when we were teenagers, him being cruel to me about humiliating me. More shame about makeup I was wearing, making fun of my how I look. So like something I couldn't change, like say my nose, making fun of me. Saying that he was drunk and he was saying, calling my sister and I whores, and if we ever came home pregnant, he's gonna kick us out. Ooh. Said it really meanly, and we actually weren't whores. I don't know, am I using that word? It's disrespectful to anyone. Saying I was selfish when I was a little girl, and I do remember thinking to myself, I'm not selfish. He's wrong. He's wrong. He changes when he drinks. He's wrong. I'm not selfish. But it didn't take away, that hammer. I was hammered down a little further. So it didn't really take away. So I'm not going through all this to say poor me. I've been through all this many times. I love my dad a lot. Whether he's still in one piece or not, I don't know. He's passed away about 4 or 5 years ago now. He suffered from alcoholism. Horrible possession. So there were a number of times where he shamed me. So perhaps, I don't know, but it was just interesting when I read that about the sad time as a child. I remember I noticed I was suppressed, even though I didn't know the word. And then how this continued. And it continued with different men I chose in my life, which is not their fault. It's my responsibility. And my ex-husband and I are great now anyway. Whatever. I'll continue. So thank you, Destiny. Please look into the Desteni I process. You can click on the link to this video. This is one of the places I'm learning about releasing, not only in a typical 21st century psychological way, fears of my family, in specific fear of my father, but I am releasing it from my actual being, from my actual body. And you can learn how to do this through the Desteni I Process Course. It's wonderful. So my name's Sandy, and please join us.